Welcome back, everyone, to part 2 of this top 10 list, where I am talking about my top 10 new Marvel characters I would like to see in the upcoming Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite set to come out in 2017. If you have not seen part 1 yet, like I basically mentioned in all my top 10 lists that I've done, parts to, I would strongly recommend you watch part 1 first, because I'm going to probably be spoiling characters that I stated in there, like comparing and contrasting, talking about my list as a whole. And I'll probably talk about characters that were in that list, and I would like you to maybe actually see them for yourself and my reasonings for the characters yourself before you come and see part numbers 5 through 1 with all their honorable mentions. Now, I'm not forcing you to. I've said that before time and time again. I don't really care. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to force you. You can view whatever the heck you want. You can watch part 2, then part 1, whatever you want to do. I'm just saying it strongly makes sense because you're going to watch it in order, and it will make a lot more sense if you watch it in order. That's all I'm saying. But this is part 2 of that list, where we're going to start at number 5. And where we left off on part 1 was with number 6 being Black Panther, and I basically mentioned all my parts, all my reasonings for why I want to include Black Panther and want to see Black Panther in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. You can watch that video all you want. I'm just going to simply say right now, he'd be a cool character with a cool fighting style. He's popular, getting used in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's a historical character that's been around for a long time. Simple as that. Go watch part 1 if you want more of a reasoning than that. Let's get on to number 5. Blade, because Blade would be such a freaking awesome character, and it surprises me that we are going on like the 4th Marvel vs. Capcom game, and he has yet to be included on it in any of them, because he's such an awesome Marvel character. He's part vampire, he fights with guns and swords. Obviously being a vampire, he'd be able to do vampire type stuff as well. And he's one of their more darker, more serious characters, and he kind of was one of the original Marvel heroes that started the big bang of, Marvel movies and superhero movies back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Despite what you want to think about those movies, they did start it, and they were pretty popular, especially the first one. And he's an historical character that's been around in the Marvel comics for a while. He's important, an important side character that, he has no relation to the X-Men or to the Avengers or whatnot. He's a side character, diversity, instead of just throwing in a million X-Men and a million Avengers. There you go. And his moveset would be unique, being part vampire that fights with a katana and guns. And he's freaking popular, and I've seen him requested quite a bit. He's not the most requested character I've seen, but he's there. And look at it. It would be so awesome to finally see him get more recognition lately, because lately I don't think he's been getting it. The last time I've ever seen him in a video game, and correct me if I'm wrong here, was like the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. I remember playing as him. He was like one of my favorite characters to play as in that game. Like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Now, I don't think I've ever seen him in a video game lately. I mean, was he in the Lego games? I don't really know. I haven't played a whole lot of the recent Marvel games. But he deserves more respect and more recognition and more use and more of the spotlight on him, because he is a very cool, interesting Marvel character. And he's my number 5. My number 4, going on the idea of a more darker Marvel character, is going to be the Punisher, because Punisher has been around just as long, if not more, than like Blade. He is a freaking awesome character that does all his little weaponry and guns, and he's like an assassin type character that he's violent, beats people down, kills people and everything. He's worked with Spider-Man before. I think he's worked with the Avengers before. He's been around for a long freaking time in the cartoons, and he's had his own movie, I think, at one point, and he's included, I think, now in the Daredevil show. I think he has been appearing on the Netflix shows. He's getting recently used and more popular, and he's been around for a long time. Cool moveset, and he's a requested character just as much as Blade, if not more. Why don't we have him in any of them yet? It's freaking Punisher. And he's my number 4. That's all I have to say. He's the freaking Punisher. He's my number 4. Done. Now we are going to be going into the top 3. And my number 3 is going to be Starlord from the Guardians of the Galaxy. Important. The Guardians of the Galaxy have been around for a while now. They've gotten a surge in popularity because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, that's kind of impacted some characters on my list, like Black Panther and like Quicksilver, part 1. And it's just an all, and you know, because of their recent use and popularity, because of the cinematic universe, and they have had a movie, they're getting a new movie next year, and they've been used a lot lately, I think, in video games and comic books and whatnot. There's likely going to be more than just Rocket Raccoon, some Guardians of the Galaxy characters in this game. Starlord being basically the main leader of their team would be kind of the reason to include him. He has a cool fighting style. He's like the gun blaster rifle with being a comedic character. He wouldn't be super serious. And he'd be kind of like a Deadpool character. And I'm not saying to cut Deadpool. Deadpool is freaking going to be in this game. He's freaking Deadpool. But he'd be kind of like Deadpool-esque because being like a kind of comedy character that fights and is awesome, basically. And he has a blaster rifle, unique moves that you can make, being semi-cool and comedic as well. He's requested quite a lot. And he's one of the major Guardians of the Galaxy, so I think he obviously makes a lot of sense. And like I said, the Guardians of the Galaxy have been around for a while, so not just their recent surge in popularity, but their historical status with Marvel, in the comics, and the cartoons, and whatever. You include Starlord. There you go. That was my number 3. My number 2 is going to be the Winter Soldier, because obviously I'm going to state the reason again. Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's been historical with the series for with Marvel for a long time. Basically being Bucky and everything with Captain America. He's been a resurgence because of the Cinematic Universe. He's a freaking cool character. You can do costumes for him, like his new Cinematic Universe costume, and then the old classic comic book costume. It'd be really cool to tackle both audiences at the same time. And it's another Captain America character that's not a villain. Even though he technically is a villain, but he's not really a villain. You kind of put him in the middle ground because it's, whatever you want to go with. You have a cool moveset with his guns and his fighting styles. And it'd be like a counter opposite to Captain America. Like a moveset that's similar, but yet totally different and more varied with like weaponry and like fighting styles that he knows. And you can kind of correlate them together. And if there is a story mode in this game, which there is said to be a story mode, not just in the comics, not just in the cartoons, not just in the movies, the video game story, it'd be cool to see these Captain America and Winter Soldier, Bucky interact with each other. So there you go. That's my number 2. Now before we get to my number 1, like always, we are going to go through a couple honorable mentions of characters, of Marvel characters, that I would like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Now, they aren't as high up, as, the characters that are on my top 10 list, but they've come this close because a lot of them are characters I really would like to see, just not as much as my top 10. Whether it's personal reasons or wanting to see them in there because they make sense. But these are my honorable mentions for characters that come this close to making it to the list of Marvel characters, new Marvel characters I would like to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We start with AntMan, Marvel Cinematic Universe, historical status, his moveset being really small and really big, really kind of cool, slightly a comedic personality that he would bring to the story mode, to the characters, and fighting with like bugs and stuff, like having a moveset that's centered around like, the size he is. Like when he's small, you can get like an army of ants or something to come and, help him or something, really interesting. And he would be semi-unique compared to someone like a Wolverine or a freaking Captain America. Okay, let's go again. Black Widow, she's semi-important pretty much to like the Avengers and the Marvel universe in general, not just the cinematic universe, which is the main reason I'm putting it on here. She has a fighting style, that would be unique. She'd kind of be like Black Cat meets a Black Cat type character, Black Panther type character. Like she'd be kind of quick and agile. She's trained to know different fighting styles, and she's like a secret agent. She could use guns. It'd be kind of unique and interesting to see her. Scarlet Witch, because not only does all her magical abilities and powers she knows become a really cool moveset, she's been used a lot lately in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and she was partially as used as a kid, referenced because of Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men movies. She's been important to the comic books for a long freaking time. And just like I said with Quicksilver, if Magneto's in the game, you include Quicksilver and you include Scarlet Witch because they're brother and sister and they're his freaking children. You have the dad and the 2 children. It'd be really cool to see a story mode where you see Magneto walking around with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch and they bicker at each other, family feud problems, whatever the heck else. Scarlet Witch. War Machine. Now, this is what I mentioned in Part 1, and I know people are going to say, especially if you didn't watch Part 1, oh, he's been in Marvel vs. Capcom before. Well, of course he has, but he wasn't in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I basically mentioned that one character on each list was going to be a character that was not in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but was in Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and/or 2. So they're not new necessarily, they're still a veteran character, they're just new because they missed the game. And I think War Machine would be kind of cool because it was resurfaced as being a major character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, more of a unique moveset you can go with, like Rhodes and whatnot, in terms of Marvel Cinematic Universe, and more of his use lately than making him a little too much like Iron Man, because I think his old moveset was a little similar to Iron Man, and make him more of a unique character that's more popular now than he was, I think, back in the day. So there you go. Jessica Jones, popular Netflix series, even though it's not as popular to say like Luke Cage. She's not one of my most wanted characters, but I think it's more of a personal, she's not a personal choice really, but more of a choice like she's being used lately, and it'd be kind of cool to see her get more use, I guess. She's basically like a female Luke Cage, which is the reason why I think they would pick Luke Cage over her. But she'd be kind of interesting to see because super powerful female character that just kicks ass is basically really kind of cool and awesome, and we have a lot of those in Marvel, so there you go. And it's another character that's not of X-Men or not Avengers, so we kind of bridge the gap and add an extra side character that's kind of being used a lot more lately. Drax, another Guardians of the Galaxy character, popular, the franchise being used a lot more lately. I know Gamora makes probably a little bit more sense than Drax, not as much as Starlord, which is the reason why Starlord's on my list. But Drax would be cool because it's like almost a polar opposite of Starlord. Starlord's more comedic and going to be more of a goofy and cool moveset that's faster and not as powerful. Serious, awesome character that's just going to want to kill you and be super powerful and strong. Slightly difference. It'd be polar opposites, and you include Starlord and Drax. I think Gamora might make a little more sense than Drax. And then you include Rocket Raccoon, Starlord, and Gamora or Drax, so it's going to be like 3 characters. But I picked Drax for this because I think he'd just be more of a polar opposite to like Rocket Raccoon and Starlord. Like a 3-way triangle. Daredevil, important character to the Marvel Universe, been around in the comic books for a long time. Cartoons, movies, Netflix series. Interesting lawyer moveset, being blind, and his fighting styles he knows. I don't know the reason why he's not been in a freaking Marvel vs. Capcom game yet. Being how important he is and how cool and popular he is. And there you go, it's freaking Daredevil. Ultron, I mentioned that when I mentioned about Apocalypse. I mentioned about the whole trailer thing, about the whole Ultron Sigma thing that people were rumoring at the end, and the reason why I took him off the list. Well, I moved him instead of taking him off the list. I moved him down to honorable mentions because I think it'd still be cool if they have a separate version of Ultron from Ultron Sigma if that is the final boss, because it would be kind of cool because robot, awesome, extra Iron Man-esque character, or villain character to the Iron Man and the Avengers, moveset potential, popularity, recent use. There you go. Mystique, a really, really interesting X-Men character that, she could turn into anyone. So I've seen people mention her moveset being basically she'd be able to turn into other characters, doing special moves, turning into other characters. She knows different fighting styles. She can use guns. She's popular. She's probably one of the most likely X-Men newcomers to be in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and it would be so freaking awesome to see her because she's so important to the X-Men universe and has been since pretty much day one, since early in the comics. So there you go. And Agent Venom, not regular Venom, because obviously he's a veteran character and he can come back all you want, but Agent Venom. Flash Thompson, not Eddie Brock, Flash Thompson, school bully of Peter Parker, as Venom, secret agent, gun-wielding, symbiote-using Agent Venom. I think it'd be more original and different than just having Venom back. It's a different take on the Venom character. It's a different character entirely being Venom, a different moveset. And it would be interesting to give, like, Spider-Man more characters that are more diverse and not, like, characters that have been around, like, earlier Marvel vs. Capcom games. So, while I would like to actually see a regular Venom in there as well, and you can include both Venom and Agent Venom all you want, I'm saying Agent Venom because he'd be totally unique and different. And that's it for my honorable mentions. We are going to be getting on to my number 1 most wanted newcomer from the Marvel side of things from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Drum roll, please. my number one most wanted new character from the Marvel side is freaking Carnage. Because he's freaking Carnage. It's Carnage. He's freaking Carnage. Come on. He is my most wanted character because he's such an awesome character. You know, Cleus Cassidy being a psychopathic, you know, murdering, you know, killer dude that just has this crazy psychotic personality. You know, being with the symbiote suit, can change his hands into different axes and stuff, and just a crazy wacky moveset that just wants to murder you. He wants to kill you. He wants to destroy you. He has such a crazy personality. I like villains that are like really crazy, really psychotic, which Carnage is, and Carnage is freaking awesome. And a lot of people are requesting him. If there's one new character from Spider-Man's universe that I freaking want in here, and I have no idea why they have not put him ever in a Marvel vs. Capcom game, it's Carnage. And that's all I have to say. It's freaking Carnage. He's been around in the comic books for so long. He'd be such an interesting moveset. This crazy, killer, wacky, crazy character. Like, take Deadpool, except not make him as comedic and make him as crazy, but not as crazy as in breaking the fourth wall, but crazy as in I'm going to kill you and do all these crazy, wacky, jumping around stage things. And there you go. He is, I think, the most requested new Spider-Man character. He has a lot of people asking for him. Me included. And he's my number one most wanted new character from the Marvel side, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I hope you guys like this list. Put in the comment section what you guys think. Do you guys like my top 10 and my honorable mentions? Do you agree with any of them? Disagree with any of them? What characters, what new Marvel characters do you want to see in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? Put in the comment section what you guys think. We can discuss it there. My name is Snipers Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. And see you all later in my next video. Excelsior!